My guest is Jeremy Swift. He plays Leslie Higgins on the hit TV show Ted Lasso. Season 2 premieres on July 23rd on Apple Plus TV. Ted Lasso has become my favorite TV show. Jeremy was recently nominated for an Emmy for his portrayal of Leslie Higgins. 20 nominations overall for the Ted Lasso crew. Jeremy, thanks for joining me. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, we had a great evening last night. We had the premiere of, the first 2 episodes at the Pacific Design Center, and it was a blast. Yeah. Such a great atmosphere.
One of the things that really strikes me about the show is you genuinely seem to like each other, the cast. Can you talk about the chemistry of the cast? I know you've been on a lot of shows, including Downton Abbey. What is it about this cast on Ted Lasso that has made you guys so close?
I think it always comes from the top and the creators and the producers. And if they've got a good vibe about them, then it'll just drip down, and the sensibility will feed into how everybody interacts. And it really is a very good feeling in this cast. And it's a kind of winning sense of fun. We work hard, but we have a lot of laughs at the same time. But you've got a certain amount of time to do a scene, and you want to nail it, and you want to do it as well as you can. But we do that without tension, it seems. Yeah.
So the Diamond Dogs, you're a part of the Diamond Dogs. I hear that the Diamond Dogs have a WhatsApp chat off the show, and that you guys communicate off the show. Is that true?
It is, yeah. It's not too regular, which kind of makes it more special. But there are some very funny interactions on that. But it's very sweet that I think Jason and Brendan kind of started it. I thought, I'm being, people add you in. So it's great fun. When we do one of those scenes, we feed back and just banter. Yeah.
So talk to me about the filming. I know you guys started in January, you ended in June for season 2. Still a lot of pandemic protocols going on. What was that like?
It was initially strange to be wearing masks and deciding which mask you were going to wear, because there were some masks that, the girls wore them because they protected their makeup and hair, and they were kind of like David Lynch sci-fi things that go up like that. But I would go to scratch my face, as you realize you do, and smash the plastic into my face. So I ended up doing it like a gorilla, sort of coming in over the top. So you have to work out which mask you're going to wear, and also that it's a little bit weird, because I think my hearing is going now, because I'd be talking to somebody and they're going, and oh God, it's a mask. Getting used to all that was great, but it didn't take too long before it was just part of the process. About 3 weeks in, it was like, this is the norm. This is what we do. We're still doing it. We're still making it work.
Now, I've had Brendan Hunt on before. He says there's 11 regular writers for the show. How early do you see the script, and do you know the arc of the season in advance? Or is it really like, okay, it's this episode, we only know what's going on with this episode, we don't know what the future holds?
That's a very good question. Some of the actors seem to know their arc. I have never known my arcs. I just get the scripts as they come in, and you just, as I do with with every job, I just I action, within the scene what the character would do. So I don't know as a person, Jeremy Swift, what I'm going to be doing in 7 weeks' time necessarily, or how I'll feel, or what will have happened. So I just have to do the same with my characters. Just action out what that scene is about. Now,
you guys film in Richmond, and Brendan also told me that there's a replica pub. So there's the pub on the show that you film in, and then there's the pub that you go to after you're done filming to socialize. What other nuggets can you tell us about like the filming that takes place there?
Well, it's not quite Richmond. It's kind of Hayes and Yedding, which is, you know, a very unglamorous kind of part of London. It's basically just off some motorways. And, you know, in the first season, I thought, I'm going to go for a nice walk because I've got 3 hours between this scene and the next. And there was nowhere to go unless I walked along the side of a motorway. I walked down another street and there was just a load of rubbish at the end of it. It's basically, we're there at the studio, West London Studios, partly because there's the football ground just over the road from the studios, which is just like super convenient. So that's how we come to use that show. The pub, yeah, is amazing. Every time I go into with a set pub, it's just like, I just forget when I see it on the screen. I'm just such a sucker. I was like, but you've been in there and you know it's a set. I always think, wow, that's the pub, isn't it? It's so, you know, it's just, I buy into it completely.
I love your character. I really think that you're the scene stealer of the show. You come in and you know, from your facial expressions to, you know, being serious. Like, you know, I love the scene when Rebecca Welton, the owner, had to come to your house to ask you to come back, and you've got the goatee going and you playing the bass, and that was such a great kind of unexpected scene from your character.
Wasn't it? I mean, I didn't expect it, but I think it's sort of, I think they kind of planned that she would come to see me, having left, and then Jason and I were talking, and I said, how long is he going to be away? Is he going to grow like a Rasputin length beard or something? Is it going to be that long? And he said he could have a jazz beard. And I went, oh yeah, because I play the bass. And you know, he went, do you? And is it in an amateur way? I said, well, I'm okay, you know. So that's how that developed, you know, just these chatting over the scene, you know, and so that's how those elements came into to just stop it just being a kind of just a reconciliation scene. It had other stuff going on in it, and that happens a lot in the show. There are lots of elements, I think, and lots of content that you don't see coming.
One of the other scenes that you always seem to be around for is biscuits with the boss. So Ted Lasso brings these world-class biscuits to the owner of AFC Richmond. She wonders, where are these made? She sends you out to try and find where they're made, and you learn, spoiler, that Ted has been making the biscuits. I think it's brilliant. How did you guys come up with the concept of biscuits with the boss?
Well, that's the writers, of course, which is such a great idea, and it's incredible. I agree with you. It's incredibly touching when you see Ted in the kitchen making the biscuits. It's like, oh, of course. Hannah, of course, has spoken about how the biscuits were really horrible, but in season 1. I tried some for some PR for this season, and I was stood next to her and going, what are you talking about? These are great. And she said, yeah, but they've changed the recipe. They're different. But yes, you call them biscuits. I mean, we call them shortbread, really. They're like a Scottish, they're big, thick affairs, you know. But yeah, pretty yummy.
Talk to me about Jason. I mean, everyone on the show, the ensemble cast is so talented. Like we said, 20 Emmy Awards. But I think Jason is such a special talent, from his acting to his writing to co-creating this show. What's it like working with him? And quickly, Ted Lasso has become a character beloved to everyone.
Absolutely. Yes, Jason is just jaw-droppingly talented. And I have mentioned this before. When he did the speech in episode 10, where he's trying to rally the team, he did it about 7 times, and the content changed hugely. He improvised it that many times, and it's just, he's like this amalgamation of a brilliant writer. It's like he's got his own material going on. He's feeding his own material. It's not just quippy, quirky comedy improv. He's got fantastic literary content in his brain. He's just so incredibly talented. And of course, he is an emotionally intelligent man, and politically astute, and a humanitarian. He's just an awesome person. Really, really huge admiration for him.
I don't know, Jason, but I'm reading more and more articles. I read the GQ story. It sounds like Jason and Ted Lasso aren't that far apart. They're maybe not the same person, but they're not too distant from each other.
Sure. I mean, Jason loves to have fun. He can be puppyish, and he's, as I say, very, very comical and warm. But he's also there's a seriousness about him as well, which is really, really valid and appropriate. He's a kind of academic as well, So there's a lot going on with this guy. He's a multifaceted human being, as many of us are. Yeah, it's a delight to work with him. Really is.
I feel like every episode, there's like a takeaway of some sort. And, one of my favorite sayings that he has is be a goldfish, have a short memory like a goldfish and, move on, come back from any adversity and challenges. Is there a favorite Ted Lassoism that you've written down or taken note of that you've seen from the show?
Well, I love be curious, not judgmental, of course. It's partly because everybody's taken to it and I just can't forget it. It's such a truism, and it's become a bit of a mantra for me, I think, because it's something that we do. It's just, we judge very, very quickly. We're in an era where we have to make fast assessments, and it's not always right to do that. We have to process stuff, So that's the one I think I've taken on board the most.
Yeah, that's a good one. Season 2, I know there's spoilers and you can't talk specifically about storylines, but people who are going to watch season 2 starting on July 23rd on Apple Plus TV, what can we expect?
You can expect that the standard will not drop from the first season. Also, it's not going to stay the same. There will be surprises and there will be storylines that you will not see coming. It has, just watching the first 2 episodes last night, the show just has so much content in it. It has fast comedy. It has tender interactions. It's just full of humanity. It's just such a delight. I think it's just as warm and as adorable and uplifting and as positive as the first season. But there will be changes. It's got to change up.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there's character development. That was one of the most surprising things to me. I mean, I got to be honest with you. When I saw the previews for season 1, I thought, okay, fun storyline. It's about a college football coach going to try and coach, European soccer. It's funny. This will be a funny show. I like Jason. I'll watch it. But when I watched and I saw the depth of the characters and the development of the characters over the season, you're hooked. Like I said, It's my favorite show, but I think that was the biggest surprise for a lot of people is these are deep characters. There's lessons to be learned. And, again, this hit during the pandemic when a lot of people were at home and needed an uplifting show to watch like Ted Lasso.
Yes, absolutely. And I think with the show, a lot of comedy shows, of course, their characters move along, but the speed of the arc of one season for a lot of the characters in that first season is much faster than is the norm, I think. But yes, as you say, there's this strange marriage of our very, very difficult times that we've been in the last 18 months or so across the planet. And this show, which of course was filmed and mapped out and filmed before all that happened. So I think the positivity in it mattered more to people than it possibly would have done. And if it helped people and it was, a bandage for people psychologically going through that, this still ongoing hard time, then that's an amazing thing, and we're very humbled that it's done that.
Now, season 3 has been greenlit, so we're excited about this. We're getting ready for season 2, but for all the fans out there, we know there's a season 3 as well. Can you give us any hint as to when season 3 starts filming, or do you guys take a break now for a little bit and then get to that maybe next year?
I believe that is so. I think it's from what I've heard, I have no confirmation whatsoever, but I think it's going to be filming around the same time as this season was, early next year, and should probably hit the screens, in a year's time, in the middle of next summer.
What does it mean to you to be nominated for an Emmy with this cast?
It's well, it's very surprising, and I think that it's very, very humbling and all that kind of thing. I think it's just a testament to the show and that everybody who works on the show, that it got so many nominations. I don't really follow awards particularly. I didn't know that you could have so many nominations for one show. But it's, I think there's 3 directing awards for Declan Lowney, Zach Braff, and MJ Delaney. That's just fantastic. That's like 30% of the first season, pretty much. And they're also well deserved. It's a huge honor. Yeah.
Now, you've been on some accomplished TV shows and movies. I mentioned Downton Abbey earlier. What's different about this? Because I went through your bio and everything. I don't think you've played in kind of a sports theme type of show before. This is very different than the typical character that you've played. But look, you're up for an Emmy. This is different.
It is. I'd once did a TV comedy film called Bostock's Cup in the 90s, which was written by a kind of sports comic guy called Chris England, who he wrote a series that I played the lead in. But apart from that, this is the only sports orientated comedy I've ever been in. I think because it's an American created show, that it's the scripts are always up for grabs and they're always being finessed, which is very different from a Brit show. Usually they're consolidated scripts in the UK, and you don't change them. But one of the reasons I've always wanted to be in an American created comedy for years is because you can change stuff up, and that's what happens on this show. There's improv on the floor, and which is difficult because some people are extraordinarily funny. So it's a task to get through scenes sometimes, particularly those Diamond Dog scenes. So that's the kind of difference, really. That there's it's comedy, and it just keeps on being finessed and rewritten, and all for the better.
Jeremy Swift, he plays Leslie Higgins on the hit TV show Ted Lasso. Season 2 premieres on July 23rd on Apple Plus TV. Jeremy, thank you so much. Continued success to you. Enjoy all the fun there in Los Angeles as you guys get ready for season 2.
Thank you so much. Lovely to talk to you.